Good morning, beautiful people. I'm Babz Rawls-Ivy. Welcome to the second hour of LoveBabz, LoveTalk. I'm here with some of my favorite people on the planet. We are talking the New Haven Scholarship Fund. I got Jeff Alpert, Gary Tinney, and James Barber. They're going to come talk about the mission and the purpose of the Scholarship Fund. You know, to provide eligible scholarships, to provide scholarships to eligible New Haven students who have financial need and academic potential. So welcome, y'all. It is so nice. Unmute yourselves so we can have a lively discussion. It is so nice to see y'all.
Good to see you.
Yeah. And I'm glad to know that this New Haven Scholarship is still out there trying to give money to kids.
That's been our purpose for over 60 years.
Yes, I can't. I had told Harry, because you've been on before, Jeff, a couple of times. I had gotten a New Haven Scholarship back in 1981 when I graduated high school. I graduated from Eli Whitney. So it was one of the first scholarships I got, and I was so proud and so pleased.
I must have been one of the interviews with Eli Whitney.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I took my little money to Barber Scotia College in Concord, North Carolina. So it did me well. I graduated, and it set me on a path of academic excellence ever since. So thank y'all. All right. So what's the deadline, and where are y'all in the process? And Gary Tinney, how are you a spokesman? Because you retired. I see your hands everywhere.
Yeah, I'm busy. I'm trying to keep it moving right, like these two guys here. No, I'm busy trying to continue the legacy of others, and to help our children.
Okay. All right. So Jeff, talk a little bit. Give me some history.
Well. All right, Jim, do you want to give a little bit of history first? And then I'll fill in some of the other parts that we can work on this together.
Sure. New Haven Scholarship Fund was founded by Jean Lovell, who was a former Hill House teacher for years. And she always felt that there was a significant number of kids who may not be the A student, but certainly going to be students who show promise and had shown steady progress through high school. And she felt that, that everyone was, when looking at the A student, we need to be looking at those kids who had need and show promise. So having been one of those individuals who was about to drop out of school because I didn't have any money, Al Tyndall from Dixwell Community House gave me Jean Lovell's number. I talked to her. She interviewed me on the phone for about an hour. She knew everything from my family size to my shoe size. And sent me a check so I could buy my books. So New Haven Scholarship Fund, really has been in my heart for a very, very long time. I've been on the board since 1968. And
wow.
I can't imagine leaving the board of New Haven Scholarship Fund, unless I pass away or something.
Okay, well, don't do that. All right, so what's the application? So Jeff, talk to me. Where are y'all in the application process, and when are y'all giving away scholarship money, and how do young people apply and get in touch?
Okay, it's it's relatively simple. We have they can go to our website, newhavenscholarshipfund.org, and there's a pull down for the application, and so they can actually do an online application. And there are hard copy applications that are in all the guidance offices. So if they, don't have the technology, and I think they all should, since the city has given them computers, that they can. The deadline is the 31st of this month for online applications, and it's the 28th for hard copies. So at this point in time, the reason why we're here is because we're really disappointed with the turnout. And usually we get between 200 and 300 applications. This year, because of COVID and because of what else is going on in people's lives, we have, as of yesterday, 45. So
the pandemic has been these last 2.5 years have been unbearably difficult for students, and so do you think that, I know that's a big part of it, and then not having access to school in the way that they used to, and then teachers being under siege and guidance counselors being even more so under siege with just trying to get kids to stay engaged online, right. Has been problematic. So I guess, Jeff, this is a barrier, which is disappointing, So how do you want to help remedy the situation? Do you extend your application date? Do you like what has to happen at this point?
We've
Well, we're not
actually
sure.
already done
Good.
that. We've extended the application date already.
Okay.
The Jeff could let me just share a little. You know, we've been reaching out to community organizations, alders, LEAP. I mean, everyone we can possibly think of, and we know that this is not just a New Haven situation. I mean, I was involved in a statewide initiative to get kids in to do their FAFSA, and across the state of Connecticut, it's a problem. So you know it's going to be a larger problem in the urban environment. But we're exhausting every possible avenue that we know to get the word out, to youngsters and to families.
Jim, you might want to mention about your meeting that Dina Natalino set up so that you could talk with the guidance counselors, maybe a few sentences about that, or.
Yeah, I actually met with the entire New Haven Public School guidance counselors group the other day as a follow-up to an email I had sent. And everyone was appreciative of the meeting. And in the meeting, strategically, they began to talk about some things, other things that maybe they could do to be sure to get kids and families. I'm actually doing an evening Zoom meeting for parents, I think on the 22nd. I've offered to do one on Saturday morning, so I think I'll be doing that either on the 19th or the 26th. So Babz, we're really exploring every avenue we possibly can to be sure that kids get the information, parents get the information, and trying to be accessible to people who have questions. Because, it's not the easiest thing. Asking questions sometimes is seen as a sign of weakness. And we're trying to get people to understand it's really a sign of strength.
Okay, so Gary, so what's your role in all of this?
Well, again, I my passion lies with reaching out to our kids and their communities, which have been a lifelong service of these two gentlemen. But that being said, I think we really are challenged, like Mr. Barber said, is getting the word out and getting back to the grassroots efforts to really hitting the ground and going to each of the schools, talking to the guidance counselor and talking to the parents. I mean, I don't think a lot of folks aren't aware that, the funds that are out there and how to access the funds. So I think, you talk about technical, trade school, college, all these things falls under the umbrella of the New Haven Scholarship Fund. And I can give you an example. Look, EMT, Emergency Medical Technician Certification. It used to cost $400. Now it's up to $1,900. So, but that alone, that certification alone, can take a young person or take anyone and put them in a position to fare well and establish a good career. So that being said, I think again our challenge is getting the word out and getting folks to talk about it. Talk about how many people benefited from the New Haven Scholarship Fund, like yourself. When you see people out there in the community at different events, you talk about the New Haven Scholarship Fund, and they say, "Oh, I received one." So we got to really hit the ground. Which I'm not saying we haven't. And due to the pandemic, that's been a whole nother challenge in itself. But even that being said, we just have to do what we continue to do and spread the word.
So Jeff, if
Yes.
You have 45 applicants, do you still move forward? I mean, they still, I mean, you just work with the numbers that you have, and then next year, hopefully the world will be in a better place where you could get those numbers back up. Like what's the thinking? I mean, I'm not suggesting you give up hope. I'm just saying, like, what's the pivot?
Well, last year we weren't at this, tremendous downturn in terms of the number of applications. Last year we had between 150 and 200 applications. So there's definitely an issue that needs to be resolved. And Jim has been doing probably 90% of the work of getting that word out, by reaching out to the alders and by talking with all the guidance counselors and writing emails, to the guidance counselors and talking to the superintendent. So I'm hoping that will have some impact. and that the work that we're doing at this point in time will turn around a little bit. We still have till the 31st. So I know a lot of kids procrastinate. And so I'm just hoping, that free money, and as Gary said, it's not just college, it's also technical schools. And I don't know that everybody knows that's part of it, because most people think that our money is for college oriented, and it's not. It's for community college. It's for in-state, it's for out of state, and so we offer things that the New Haven Promise does not, which is technical schools and trade schools. And I think that Gary made a good point that an EMT is, as expensive it is something that we would support.
Mm-hmm.
And we've supported, almost 12,000 kids with over, $10.5 million. And to me, it's like there's free money out there. If you want to continue your education, we're an avenue for you. We're out here to try and help you to, fulfill that goal or that dream.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, Mr. Barber, talk a little bit about what you're hearing out there, because I had the New Haven Promise people have been on too. Their numbers are like, everybody's numbers are low in terms of any sort of access to young people around resources, programming, scholarships. Like everybody's numbers are down. So what else are you hearing out there, Mr. Barber?
Well, mostly what I'm hearing is a difficulty in getting parents to understand that there is money available. It's not difficult to access. They're having some difficulty getting parents to, because we're a need-based fund. As I said, some of the counselors are sharing that they are having difficulty getting kids to come in with some documentation in terms of revenue stream. The other thing is that I'm finding that for some reason, even though we've been around for 60 years, parents still don't realize that our scholarship supportable, so they don't have to just be used in state. And thirdly, I have to reinforce all the time that we do recognize and give award to undocumented students. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's just so much stuff out there, that we're trying to get, the entire community, the faith-based community, everyone, to help us to get that information out. I was amazed when I was sitting in church and talking about New Haven Scholarship Fund, and a person I've known for 30 years said, "Oh, I graduated from Wilbur Cross and I got a New Haven Scholarship Fund." I'm like, okay, come on, I need you to help me to get that information out. You know what I mean? You benefit from it, okay? And then others, were in your graduating class. I was, talking to Neil Proto, who's a prominent attorney, who graduated from Cross. But I need folks who also got New Haven Scholarship Fund. You just need folks to just keep spreading that word and getting their message out.
Yes. So now I would imagine now you've got a whole cachet full of former scholarship recipients who, if asked, could happily, make the case for telling people and parents and families to apply for this money.
We do, and Jeff can speak to it, but it's one, we don't necessarily know where they are, and we've been researching, trying to find that out. Two, many of the females now have different married names, so as we're kind of doing our homework, we don't know who's who. Babz, let me tell you something. I went on to the Hall of Records, and I purchased the voting list for all 30 awards, mm-hmm. because I'm like, okay, we're doing everything we can do, so let me at least try this. And as I'm going through the voting list, and I can't often figure out who I'm trying to find here, because things have changed so much. I mean, it's just, I know I'm not frustrated, but I am concerned. And, okay. and as Jeff said, last year, we had a downturn last year, but one of the things that we did was, what we're trying to do again, is that some of the counselors set up Zoom calls for me to talk to parents and students late in the evening, in that 6 to 8 period. So again, we're doing everything we can.
Mm-hmm. And so the application process isn't labor intensive. I mean, the documentation that you need is not, I mean, it's not like, I don't know, buying a house, right? Like, it's not like that.
No, most of it, you could do within a half hour. The only thing that may take some time is documentation of the revenue stream. So in other words, if they're under $72,000 without extenuating circumstances, they're candidates. And so that includes probably almost, probably 95% of the people, who are going to public schools in New Haven. So I don't see that as being a major impediment, for them to make that application. I just think that if you take a look nationally, there's about 1 million less kids going to college last year. So, wow. I mean, the impact is significant, in terms of what COVID has done. And, with that remote learning, I think with that, one of the things that would help us if we could use that social network platform to get the word out. I mean, I think the word of mouth is really wonderful, but, most of those kids are, social network junkies, and they're looking at Facebook and whatever, TikTok and all that other stuff. But at this point in time, we're like digital immigrants. Well, I am, that's for sure. So we need the young bloods to help us out, to infiltrate that social network, and maybe that would be a mechanism by which we would bring more kids on.
Yeah, I mean, you all have some social media presence, I believe. As I was doing a little research about y'all, I mean, I know who y'all are, but I just want to see what you had on online. You have a small sort of social media presence, just sort of you build upon on some of that to engage folks. We do have a
Facebook page, and I'm assuming, and I haven't looked at it lately, that that call to action, that call to apply is on there also. So
yes. Yes.
So that's, so that's just one mechanism, but, then there's the word of mouth is, I mean, it seems to me like if in fact you're giving out $3,000 or more to a kid, that it's free money. And
wow, you get that much? I think my scholarship was like, I want to say it was like $400 maybe, or I mean, it was not $1,000, but it made a huge difference in my financial aid package.
Babz, when Dean Lovell first started New Haven Scholarship Fund, it was 8 scholarships for $100 to 8 kids. It's quite different now. But and let me share this though. I think one of the things that as you're helping us to spread the word, one of the things that the parents get concerned about is that the information that they share with us about revenue stream is going to get out. We handle that stuff like Fort Knox. So any information that's given to us about family income, it truly goes into, once we review it, it's shredded. So I mean, it's not like anything we hold on to. And I think that's a concern that, that people don't want people to know what's going on. But truly, we really hold that stuff close to our chest. And
I think you're right, Mr. Barber. I think the fear that if they release their financial information, that it might impact them in other ways against other institutions where they may have some involvement in, and nobody wants their money messed with, right? So, so I think you just hit on because I've seen that with working with people on the FAFSA stuff, how they get nervous about what's needed on the information, and where's this information going to go, and will this information, in the back of their minds, will this information be used against me in some way moving forward? And I think that's a real honest to God fear of people.
Well, trust me, once we have reviewed it, it goes into the shredder immediately. I mean, you cannot, even though I'm a hoarder and a junkie, I mean, you cannot walk around my basement on my living room and find anybody's information because it's gone.
I just want to add a little bit to the story that Jim told when Gene Lovell started this back in 1959. That $800 was for at $100 a kid is for a full year's tuition at Southern.
Wow.
So that's how times have
Oh
changed.
my
You know,
Lord.
so
Southern was $50.
for a
Southern
year
was
for $800
$50 per semester.
Oh my God. Now $100 will get you a cup of coffee.
You couldn't even buy your books at this point. With that much money, you couldn't even buy books.
You can't
So-
even, I mean, you could get a couple of pens and a legal pad, but that's about it right now. So so how do y'all raise this money? That's what I want to know. How do y'all get this money? How do y'all get money to give to these students?
That's an incredibly interesting question. There's multiple avenues. Mostly it's for people who understand the work that we do. So it's a lot of the New Haven community, but there are also people out there who have some contact with the work that we do, and there are donors that live outside the city. We were very fortunate. There was a family called the Chamberlains, and they lived in Florida. And I got a letter from a lawyer that said that they wanted to give us part of their estate. I had never even heard of them, didn't know about them, and somehow they found us. And that ended up to be $250,000.
Whoa.
So that those kinds of things, you don't expect them, but you certainly appreciate them, because that money is going to go directly to serve kids, and to make it possible for them to live their dreams, to pursue a career. And that's what this is all about. It's about making a difference, about having the ability to make a difference in a kid's life. Just like you said, for you, or what Jim said, most of the letters we get from kids are so appreciative of this money and so appreciative of the ability for them to be able to pay for school, that it fulfills a part of me that is very deep and very apprecitive. So.
Listen, when I went off to college, there was no computers. My freshman year, I had a typewriter.
Yep.
So I had you have to type all your applications. I typed my thank you letter because that's what we, computers didn't come until, I don't know, halfway through college. We had a computer lab, but and in those days you had to actually learn language to talk to the computer before you could even do anything. So yes.
Babz, I'd like to add something to I'm sorry, Gary, you want to?
No, go ahead, Mr. Barber.
No, I just want to add something to what Jeff said, because Jeff talked about the Chamberlains, but I'd also like to share with you that we've had public school teachers who retired and left us in the will. We've had one particular public school teacher who taught in public schools for a long, long time. When she left her estate, she left us $750,000.
Whoa.
I mean, so our board members are fundraising and identifying individuals who may be willing to give. Our board members give. I mean, as a volunteer organization, if we don't have an active, aggressive board, all of who are compassionate and committed to what we're doing, we die.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the person who Mr. Barber's talking about was my English teacher at Sheridan, and it was Rhoda Spear. And I don't know, Babz, whether you encountered her, but she was a force. And eventually, she headed the Talented and Gifted. But
yes. Oh my goodness.
So she was a person, who committed her life to kids, and then continued that legacy afterwards. And that's part of where we're going in terms of our outreach, is for legacy giving, is to continue to give and continue to make a difference.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Gary, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to mention too that it's something that a lot of folks don't realize, is that a lot of our youth don't have the resources, in-house resources, to know how to maneuver through the scholarship process. And this board here, we're hands-on. So a lot of the questions, I've been called numerous times by some of the students with some questions that you would think that were, a given. but they weren't given. And sometimes we have to walk folks through the whole process, because one, maybe they don't have a parent in the home that understands. You have some language barriers, and then you have all these different issues. Then you talk about the computer and access to computers and knowing how to navigate through the computers. A lot of folks don't have those abilities. So that being said, we that's one of our, I think, great resources, is the fact that we have people that'll go knock on the doors, call them, give them your cell number, and answer those necessary questions. And fortunately, we have a board of educators from a diverse group of individuals, backgrounds that have been, I sit there and this is one of the best boards I've sat on, because they're passionate, they disagree and they go at it, but they are educators from the community, and they just want to take care of business. But they're able to talk about things and then come to an agreement that shows that where they stand and what they want to do for our children. So that being said, this New Haven Scholarship Fund, it's a great opportunity, and I challenge folks out there, the young, the old, the community leaders, and the politicians, to get out there, take our flyers, knock on the doors, and let them know what resources are available out there.
Yes. We posted it up on our social media. So thank you, Harry, so that people can sort of see what it looks like, and they can go and you have all the drop down, so people can get the scholarship information, they can get news and reviews, people can donate, or they can get in touch if they have questions or concerns about the application itself. So tell me a little bit more about your board. How large is the board? How often do y'all meet? And how do you decide on who gets scholarship and when you get applications in? What's the process?
Let me just address one portion of that, and then I'll let Jim talk about it a little bit too. One of the things about the board is that we're all volunteer. There's no one who's paid. We have no specific office, so we can actually say that the dollars that are donated go to fund kids. So there's no overhead, and that's very different from most organizations. Most organizations have someone who's being paid, and we don't have anyone who's actually being paid for this. The other thing is that the application process, after we get it submitted, if in fact there's any reason why a kid does not fall into the pool of being interviewed, and Mr. Barber is the one who goes through that, because their income is way over, maybe they are over $140,000, and so they wouldn't be eligible. But once that's done, then every single student is interviewed by one of the people on the board. The board's about 25 individuals.
That's a big board.
It is a big board. There's a lot of people who like to do this work. So the long and short of it is that we'll call a kid up, since in fact we can't do the in-person interviews, which we did, and that was so much better. We'd go to the high schools, we'd sit across the table from a kid, we talk to them, get to know them, explain the process, explain what this money can be used for, how to utilize the money. And then, but now it's all either Zoom and or phone call. And that was the way we did it last year. And you can see from what Harry posted is that 154 kids were first year recipients. And then there's another 81 who were continuing scholarship recipients. So, I mean, the numbers are vastly different from last year. And hopefully, being on your show will make a difference in terms of getting people who listen to the show to get anyone who they know who has a kid who goes to New Haven Public Schools, who's a New Haven resident, to apply. And then the help is there. And hopefully, this outreach with you, Babz, and really, really appreciate it, is something that will make a difference.
So talk to me about the continuing part, because I don't think I was aware of that part. What is that?
When Babz, when you came through, it wasn't there.
I know.
Okay. However, the board was pushing. So at the point where we thought we could begin to help some continuing kids, that's when it expanded. But I can tell you, for years, the motto was, "We will get you started," and that was just it. But now we're trying to make sure that you finish.
That you finish, that you stay,
Right.
that you don't lose sight of money can't be the barrier for why you don't finish.
Right.
Okay, I like that. I like that.
And the criteria, Babs, and the criteria is that you just have to be accepted into a school. We don't do a GPA and a search and see whether, in fact, kid basically, is a 4.0 student, and that makes a difference. If the kid is a 2.5 student, they're still eligible, and the money is going to come to them anyway. It's not because they're the smartest kid in the class. It's kids who desire to want to pursue something other than a post high school. That's what they want to do, and we're there to be able to help that financial burden, which is significant. When we talk about $800 for 8 kids to go for a year, I mean, most colleges are 25,000, 40,000, 60,000, and so the difference is quite significant. And hopefully, we'll get more applications, and those kids will get the assistance that we're hopefully providing.
So
let me just add something to Jeff, because we do ask for high school transcripts and all those kind of things, because one of the things that we want to be sure is that we're actually looking at a kid who is showing some promise. So yeah, we look at attendance, we look at grades. Grades don't determine it, but we look at grades. We look at attendance. Rank in class, that's there. But the transcript and the attendance, we always feel like if a kid can't get up and go to school, then I'm not really sure that we can invest in somebody to be once they're out of high school, and on their own. So yeah, we look at attendance, okay, and we look at grades, and then we look at family income, and then we listen to the kid. Because so very often there are things when you do the interview with the youngsters, you find out some things that may not be in that essay that the kids have written. So we try to look at the whole person and make a decision based on that.
Wow. So we got like a couple of minutes left. Talk to me about the future of the New Haven Scholarship. What is the hopes and dreams and aspirations moving forward?
That's an excellent question. The aspiration that we can continue to do what we've been doing for over 60 years is that we can provide, financial assistance to kids who have dreams and hopes. And part of that is, that as we reach out to the community and more people know about us, is that the resources that we have available to be able to give away is something that will grow in time. And so when I say today it's $3,000 for our top scholarship, and maybe more this year based on how many kids apply, but we'd like to be able to continue that, and maybe next year it's 4,000, and year after that maybe it's 5,000. Who knows? But the goal here is to provide as much assistance as we can to kids who are moving in the direction of making a better life for themselves and their family.
And to give away every single dollar that we collect each year. When June arrives and we've made our awards, we want to be empty.
Gary?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention too that I would ask that the athletic coaches, the individuals in these schools, and one of the things I wanted to do is go and speak to them, specifically to their folks, to really take advantage of the funding that's available, and that we just get Babz, if you have any suggestions pertaining to tapping into these other resources, we need that, we need those recommendations. That being said, if anybody's interested, or anybody that's watching the show or chimes in, I inboxed you, or not inboxed you, I
message
chatted,
yes,
yeah, my cell number. You can give it to anyone, any of the kids that have any questions, they can call, and we'll help them through the process.
All right, so give me the deadline one more time. You said the end of the March 31st?
31st is for the online application, and the 28th is for hard copies.
Okay. Well, I will do my part to share across our social media platforms. If you have a flyer of some sort, send it to me. I'll run it in the inner city as my courtesy. So send me something, y'all. Y'all know how to reach me. So if you got a flyer or something that I can drop in, send it to me, and I'll try to make it as big as I can. And I'll try to run it for the next couple of weeks, so that y'all can get some traction. But just so hit me up, and I'll do my part.
Yeah,
Babz,
thank you very much.
Just thank you. I want to just thank you so much for hosting us and letting us tell our story. You're always a pleasure. You have a beautiful smile, and I really like being on your show because you tap into the questions that need to be asked and the information that needs to be communicated.
Well, thank you. So when we do this again next year, call me and we'll do it all again. So make this your home, and I'm happy to do this. So let me know however way I can help. I want to help because I was a recipient, and it has made a huge difference in my academic life. It allowed me to get my bachelor's. It allowed me to get a couple of master's degrees. So I could not have gotten this far without that foundation support. So I personally want to thank y'all for the work that you're doing.
And we certainly want to thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So y'all have a good day. Jeff, I'll hear from you shortly. And let's get some kids some money.
Okay, take care. Have a great
Thank y'all so much.
Right.
Have a good one.
Have a good day, everybody.
All right. Good to see y'all. Okay, Harry, play us out. We are out of here. Thank you for another wonderful day of LoveBabz, Love Talk. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Hi, this is Babz Rawls-Ivy from New Haven, Connecticut, and you're listening to WNHHLP 103.5 FM, streaming live at newhavenindependent.org.
Wheels keep spinning to the morning light. Wheels keep spinning. Wheels keep spinning. Wheels keep